And U.S. President Donald Trump has decided to depart the G7 summit early amid escalating tensions between Israel and Iran.
I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. Thank you in Canada. But you probably see what I see, and I have to be back as soon as I can.
Now, after a day of speaking with G7 leaders about the need for a negotiated deal, Trump took to social media to back Israel and issue a warning to the Iranian capital. In a post on his Truth Social network, he said everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. And shortly afterwards, the White House press secretary said that Trump would return to Washington late on Monday due to the crisis, which is a day earlier than planned. Now, Trump will miss a day of meetings that was also expected to include meetings with the leaders of Ukraine and Mexico. Now, Trump has repeatedly declined to say if the U.S. would participate in Israeli military action, although he says it was not involved in initial strikes. Now, speaking to reporters, Trump voiced confidence that Iran would eventually sign a nuclear deal, as he warned, without specifying that the United States will be doing something once he leaves a G7 summit. Now, Trump, who has praised Israel's strikes despite his stated preference for diplomacy, said Iran would be foolish not to agree to negotiated settlement.
I've spoken to everybody.
What will you say?
Israel is doing very well, as you probably noticed. And I gave Iran 60 days, and they said no. And the 61st, you saw what happened. Day 61. So I'm in constant touch. And as I've been saying, I think a deal will be signed, or something will happen, but a deal will be signed. And I think Iran is foolish not to sign one. Yeah, but I think we're doing pretty well. We're talking. We have a thing called a telephone, so we're talking. But it's always better to talk in person.
Now, Trump refused to sign a draft joint statement prepared by the G7 leaders, calling for de-escalation of the conflict between the two West Asian countries. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron said if U.S. is able to achieve a ceasefire, France will support it. Speaking to reporters, Macron pleaded Israel and Iran to cease strikes against civilians.
Si les États-Unis d'Amérique peuvent obtenir un cessez-le-feu, c'est une très bonne chose.
If the United States can achieve a ceasefire, that is a very good thing, and France will support it, and we hope for it. Next, I say that it is absolutely essential that all strikes by both sides against energy, administrative and cultural infrastructure, and even more so against the civilian population, cease. Nothing justifies them. They are absolutely intolerable.
Rien. Et elles sont, elles, absolument intolérables.
Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that G7 leaders share concern about Iran's nuclear program, but also claimed that there is a consensus for de-escalation.
But we have to find a way to de-escalate the situation, notwithstanding the concerns that we all have about the nuclear program. There's no doubt about that. Notwithstanding, we all accept Israel's right to self-defense, of course, but there must be de-escalation, and that will be the central focus of much of the discussion today.
On the other hand, Japan, which has historic relations with Iran, has broken with its Western allies to condemn Israel's attack, calling it completely unacceptable and deeply regrettable. Now, earlier we were joined by experts Peter Kuznick and independent journalist Anthony Lowenstein. This is what they had to say on the ongoing escalation. Listen to this.
So it's in Israel's real interest. You know, we talk about regime change. I would love to see regime change in Israel. Netanyahu is a menace to world peace. The International Criminal Court has a warrant for his arrest. You know, and we see what's going on in Gaza, and now he started this war. And so we do need regime change in the region, but it should be regime change in Israel. If the Iranian people want to overthrow their government in Tehran, well, that's okay too.
I mean, we're in an incredibly dark, worrying time where we have Israel essentially calling for the assassination of a sovereign nation. None of this has to do with how one feels about the Iranian regime, which has been repressive for decades. I've spent time in the country reporting many years ago, but this was an unprovoked attack a few days ago. It was based on the premise, a false premise, that Israel said that there was an imminent chance of Iran having and developing and building and using a nuclear weapon. A few months ago, the US itself declared that there was no evidence that Iran was developing a nuclear weapon. Israel has provided zero evidence that that is different, that that is changed. So we're in a situation now where the only person who can probably end this is Trump. And it's pretty clear in the last days, based on the sources I've spoken to and other reporting, that the US was in some way involved in the Israeli strike. I'm not talking about militarily, but certainly assisted in the defense of Israel when Iran fired missiles back. And it seems pretty clear now that there was a degree of subterfuge that was pushed by Israel and therefore the US. So the idea that Trump is somehow a peacemaker is absurd. On the other hand, the only person who can probably stop this madness is Trump. And these messages that are warning 10 million citizens of Tehran to flee is an absurdity. I mean, where are they supposed to go? The roads are blocked leaving Tehran, and other places in Iran are being attacked by Israel. So we're in a really, really dark place at the moment.